أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ثم أما بعد. Inshallah, today's short and quick and precise lesson, because Yunus asked for it to be quick because he has places to be apparently. Because Yunus asked, and I'm sure he has like طلب العلم and places to go. He's got a sami' to his sheikh and he's got a hadith to memorize. Many important things for him to go to. We'll cut our lesson short so he can continue. Today's topic is on how to instill the love of Ramadan and fasting in the hearts of children. It's a long, I even tried to use ChatGPT to find a shorter title, but it wasn't working. But that's the title. But it's mostly directed towards obviously the parents or maybe some of the older boys who hopefully, if they find a woman foolish enough to marry them in the next few years, that they get married and have children, they may benefit from it. Some of the younger kids, this may be something that you can think about and encourage your parents to do, either if you have younger siblings or for yourself, whatever it may be. Because ultimately, like with everything in the Sharia, if we don't establish it in the hearts of our children when they're young, you're just setting them up for failure. It doesn't mean they're going to fail. Ultimately, the tawfiq, ultimately the guidance is in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jal. But you as a parent that wants Jannah for your kids, that wants your kids to be loved by Allah Azza wa Jal, if you're not preparing them when they're young, then what are you really doing for them? What benefit have you really given them? SubhanAllah, there's parents out there who their entire life, their entire relationship with their children is just, I'm going to nourish that child enough to be alive. Nourish them physically. They're clothed, they have a home, they have food, they have drink, they're warm, they're safe. Khalas, my job, it's done. And unfortunately, many fathers especially, assume that this is their role. The woman's job, the wife's job, she'll provide the emotion and the connection and even sometimes the spirituality. Whereas the man's job, khalas, we go to work, we wake up early, we come back, we don't have time for anything else. This is wrong. And this is very dangerous. It's easy to keep your children fed and keep them clothed and keep them safe, relatively easy, tabarakallah, alhamdulillah, for the country that we live in. But it's not easy to keep their spirits high. It's not easy to keep their deen intact. So that's the one that requires the effort. That's the one that requires attention. And if not both parents are eager and put in the effort to allow this to happen, then the child is going to struggle. It's a two-person job. It's the mother and the father. And more than that, the sheikh, the mentors in the community, but it starts in the household. So with everything, and you find this in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that he would give attention to the young. Try to nurture them. Try to give them attention. Try to focus on them. Encourage good treatment of them so that ultimately as they get older and older, they have the stepping stones to becoming great Muslims. So this is the goal in which we have, and this is the desire in which we have for our children. May Allah make it easy upon us. From the ways in which we can nurture the love of Ramadan in the hearts of our children, and this is for everyone, this is not just relevant to the children, and this is the obvious one, is allowing them to understand the purpose of Ramadan. I know it sounds straightforward, but it has to be said. Allowing them to understand the purpose of Ramadan. Children need to understand why. Children are curious beings. This is why they're so good at learning. The best time for a person to learn is when they're a child. Why? Because they're curious. They're fresh. So when you provide your child with being told to do something, okay, they may do it. But when you provide them with the why, when you provide them with the understanding, then you motivate them. You motivate them. You give them a desire to then go and fulfill it. And this is found in the Sharia. Allah Azza wa Jal, did He just command us to fast? Did He just say, it is upon you to fast, and then that's it, khalas? Or did He just say it's upon you to fast and this is how you fast? Stay away from food and stay away from drink? No, Allah Azza wa Jal in the Quran, He tells you that fasting is prescribed upon you. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ. And He gives you كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Gives you extra informations, and then on top of that, And the most important of it tells you why. Why you need to fast. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So that you can gain taqwa. Teaching that, yes, it's one thing for us to just say, khalas, siyam, it's an obligation upon us because it's kutiba alayna, and it was written upon us. Or because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Bunya al-Islamu ala khams, and from them is and fasting Ramadan. But for us to know why, it gives us that extra purpose. And then Allah Azza wa Jal goes further, where He tells us that يعني شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, that the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed. For not just giving us why لعلكم تتقون, but giving you why the month is so important as well, because it is the month in which the Quran was revealed. For Allah Azza wa Jal gives us context, and we need to provide the context to our children. Not just, no, Baba, now you have to fast. No, Baba, you're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to eat. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. But rather to sit them down and educate them as to why. To show them that this fasting, it's a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal. Again, you're trying to change their perspective. This fasting, it's a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal. You put it towards them. Fasting, it's a rahmah from Allah Azza wa Jal. Why do we fast? Why is Ramadan so amazing? Because it's a rahmah from Allah Azza wa Jal. Because He allows for the gates of Jannah to open. He allows for the hellfire gates to close. He chains up all of the shayateen. You give them this information. You talk to them about it. You tell them about how this is a month of maghfirah. This is a month of forgiveness. So that's why we fast, so that we can get the forgiveness of Allah Azza wa Jal, that this is the month of the Quran. When you frame it to them, now suddenly Ramadan is not just, oh, I can't eat and drink, but Ramadan, it's this month. It's this big picture. I have the context. I know why it's amazing, and then it builds the excitement in them as to why they are going to go and do it. And imagine you say to your child that has never heard the term before, whatever it may be, you say to your child, has never heard of it before, but you say to them, we're going to take you to a amusement park. But the child doesn't know what the word amusement is, it doesn't know what the word park is, and has never seen what an amusement park is. Is the child going to be excited? Maybe if you say it in an excited way, they're going to be like, oh, that sounds cool. But imagine you frame it to them like this. Baba, we're going to go to an amusement park. What's an amusement park? An amusement park, there's roller coasters and there's big slides, and sometimes there's places for water and for swimming, and there's big buckets and it falls on you, and there's characters and everyone's happy, and we're going to get food from there and lollies from there. And now you build for them the picture of why an amusement park is so amazing. Now they're excited. Now their whole way there, they're picturing it in their head. The same with Ramadan. When they think Ramadan is a month where Allah is happy with the people and Allah is forgiving of the people, and they can picture the gates of Jannah opening, and they know the shayateen that you've always spoken about are locked up, now it becomes something that is amazing. That for your children, it's not just about ordering them to do it, but allowing them to understand the purpose of Ramadan and why it is so amazing. It's also important for us to understand that with everything, love should come before practice. Love comes before practice. Meaning you want to instill in the hearts of your child the love of something before you even instill in them the obligation to practice it. And this is, subhanAllah, for a very practical example that we can use, and we mention it all the time to the sisters, is that don't wait until your daughter hits puberty and then say to her, here's your hijab. Rather, what do? From when she's young, you glorify the hijab. You make it amazing. You make it beautiful. Like, Allahumma barik, you're wearing the hijab. Like you put it on when she prays, and then she sees the mum, and the mum's always happy with the hijab. You build the love for it in the heart, and then later on becomes the practice. But you have to start this early. Don't give me this excuse, why is your, for the hijab, or why fasting or salah, why are they not doing it when they're 15 years old? You said we have to establish the love. No, establish the love when they're 5, 6 years old, so that when they hit puberty, they're doing it. So you want to build the love for it in their hearts before you ever obligate them to do that. And the way that you need to do it is through a very important psychological method. It's called positive association. Positive association. When your child associates something with positivity, they're going to love it. Why do they love sugar? Obviously, there's the chemicals in it that makes them love it, but they know it tastes good. So they associate the concept of a lolly with something positive. Why do they love the park? Because they associate the concept of the park with fun. Why do they love Tate's house? Why do they love their grandma's house or their grandpa's house? Because they associate it with nice food, freedom. No one can yell at me because grandma and grandpa's gonna have my back. It's called positive association. But when you develop this positivity in their heart, then it becomes easy for them to practice it. You have to make Ramadan positive in their heart. How do you do it? When Ramadan comes, the house needs to be peaceful. When Ramadan enters, they should feel a air of peacefulness in the house because of the month. Even at the start, you might not even acknowledge it, that the house is peaceful because of Ramadan. But they're smart. Children are smart. We always say they pick up on things. They're going to tell that in Sha'ban, things were a bit but now in Ramadan, subhanallah, the peace is here. They're going to pick up on it and they're going to be excited when each Ramadan comes. How do you do that? By you creating the peace inside the house. If your reaction to Ramadan, for the fathers especially, is every day you come back from work because you were fasting, you're in a bad mood, I'm tired, I'm not bothered, I just need a rest before Taraweeh, I need to do this, don't speak to me, I'm back at Asr time, right now it's me to have my nap until Maghrib and then that's it. If that's what they associate Ramadan with, that dad's in a bad mood and dad is going to come back from work, have a nap, pray, wake up, pray Maghrib, we're going to have iftar. By the time he packs up, he's going to go to Taraweeh. By the time he comes back, I'm going to be asleep, he's going to be asleep. So for the entire month, he barely had time for me. They're not going to be excited about Ramadan. Bil'aks, they're going to find Ramadan something that's burdensome upon them and something that has come to interfere with the love and emotions and connection that they grew fond of throughout the entire year. So you need to make the jaw, you need to make the air an air of peacefulness and happiness in the house, that when dad comes home, he's happy because it's Ramadan. When I come home from school, mom's happy because it's Ramadan. That everyone's in a good mood because it's Ramadan. Everyone's excited because it's Ramadan. For the sisters, if every time the child comes home and you get in the room, I have to cook iftar, I have to do this, I have to do that, don't talk to me, don't touch that, don't annoy me, don't this, don't I'm fasting, I'm tired. The kid's not going to love Ramadan. But they have to associate it with positivity. Firstly, through the way you act, and then also through the way that you speak. You need to speak about Ramadan in an amazing way in front of them. Not even just about teaching them the things that we said at first, about Ramadan is the month of rahmah and maghfirah and gaining taqwa and all of that, but just general excitement. You're driving them in this car to school. Baba, did you know that there's only a few weeks to Ramadan? How exciting. Immediately in their mind, their children, their emotions are based on you. They don't have the ability to fully control their emotions yet. Rather, most of it is based on you. That's why, what do you find? If a child was right now to go and run into a war, the first thing they do, they turn around, they look at Baba. If Baba is like, oh my God, and they're freaking out, most likely they're going to cry. But if you laugh it off and you chill it and you make it something, maybe if they're in pain, they'll cry, but they're less likely to cry just because of the event. Because they associate their emotion with the way that you react. But when you make Ramadan something nice, Ramadan is coming, it's something that's so exciting. Did you know it's exciting? Did you know, subhanAllah, you're talking about it always and you're bringing it up and you're not talking about Ramadan's coming, oh, well, we got to get this, we got to get that, and everyone's stressed. The child is going to link it with joy and not link it with pressure. Even little things throughout the month of Ramadan. When you wake your child up for suhoor, don't wake him up and it's like, hurry up quickly, and you got to sit him down and you got to feed them quickly. There's no time, the adhan's about to go and everyone's stressed. They're going to be like, don't wake me up for suhoor, don't ask me for anything, don't tell me about Ramadan, I don't care about it. But when you wake your child up for suhoor and then you smile in their face and then you sit with them and then they eat something that's good, they're going, I know this seems like, who's going to do it? But it has to be done. This is part of the ibadah. We know Ramadan comes with extra ibadah. This is part of the ibadah, because what's the point of it? What's the point of you in Ramadan? Obviously you have your own ibadah. But what are you going to say in front of Allah Azza wa Jal when you stand on Yawm al-Qiyamah but your child didn't, after you passed away and they weren't interested in Ramadan because it was always a bad and stressful time in their life? Yeah, simple things like that. When Ramadan comes, again, you make it a celebration. You make it something that is good, something that's exciting for them, because these children, they're sensitive. If the atmosphere around them is stressed, they're going to be stressed. If it's happy, they are going to be happy. So you want to make that positive association with the month, with the way that you act and with the way that you speak. Thirdly, you want to model the behavior that you want to see in your children. Your children are going to see Ramadan the way that you practice the Ramadan, until they're taught otherwise. But for the most part, their Ramadan is going to be based upon the way in which you have Ramadan. With the example we gave, if you wake up for suhoor in a way that is calming, in a way that is happy, they're going to wake up for suhoor in a way that is calming, in a way that is happy. If they see you opening the Quran and reading the Quran in a good mood, they're going to associate Ramadan with the Quran, and they are going to open the Quran and they're going to read the Quran. If they see that Baba is more calm in Ramadan than he is outside of Ramadan, they're going to associate Ramadan with what? A month of calmness, a month where I have to control my anger. That's you acting and doing the thing. When they see, oh, my parents are more charitable, they give more money inside Ramadan, when they get older, this is just going to become a norm that they give more money when it comes to Ramadan. When you are even stricter on your salawat and your sunan and your tahajjud and your tarweeh, and you're more strict on all of your prayers in Ramadan, they're going to naturally want to associate Ramadan with a month of salah and a month of qiyam and a month of goodness, and they're going to want to do it. If this is the way that you have to teach them. Your teaching needs to come through your actions first, and then later on through your words. You create the air of goodness. You speak about it in positivity. They see you doing good, and then they are going to want to do it. For they start to see the love of Ramadan in your heart and in your actions, and then naturally the love of Ramadan is going to come into their heart and into their actions. But like we said, if you're angry in Ramadan and you're not bothered for them, they're going to be angry in Ramadan, and they're not going to be bothered for the month. Some tips. I have to skip a few because the Mudir said that I have too much time. Some tips as to how you can instill practical things that you can do of instilling love for your children in Ramadan is, firstly, like we said, you build anticipation for the month. Don't try to get your children to love Ramadan from the first day of Ramadan. Try to build the anticipation from before. And this may require effort. And this is something that I encourage especially the sisters to do. If their main role in the household is to care for their house, then I encourage the sisters to look up activities and things that they can do to allow the child to understand that a month is coming and that it's something that is good. Maybe you put a calendar up, something simple like this. You put a calendar up and each day you cross out the day. And each day you get more and more, 30 days left, 29 days left to the month. Not, when do we put the calendar up? During Ramadan to count down the day that it's going to leave. This is not, this is something, maybe that's something that we do. But do it from before that. Do it from the start of Sha'ban. You're counting down the days. So each day it's getting closer and closer. The anticipation is building and they're getting excited. They see that a great month is coming. Maybe you decorate a corner in your house. This is something, subhanAllah, I see that people started to do and they're posting on Instagram, and it's something that's interesting. They build a corner in their house, like a Ramadan corner, where they put like a prayer mat, they put like a little bookshelf with with masahif and like Islamic books. They decorate it a little bit, make it look a bit nice, and then khalas, that's the Ramadan corner. The child sees it, it's not there except for in Ramadan. They're excited, they want to go sit there. They want to go, they start to build it until the month comes. And they're excited that when the month comes, they get to use it. And then what are they using? There's a prayer mat. What do you do on a prayer mat? They pray. What do you do with the mushaf? They read it. Even if you want to put like prayer beads, like whatever it is that you want to put, stuff there that encourages building it to get excited for Ramadan and then using it inside of Ramadan as well. Develop with them some type of like good deed jar. And you sit with them and you think, what are 30 good deeds that you want to do in Ramadan? Maybe they will write down like, I want to give a bit in charity. This day I want to pray a little bit extra qiyam. This day I want to help mum preparing iftar. This day I want to help with a cleanup. You write down 30 things, you put them into little papers, you put them in a jar, you shake it up, and then they build it before Ramadan, and then inside Ramadan they take one out each day. They read it. Today I have to help mama prepare iftar. They do a good deed for that day. Again, you're making the month seem different, which it is. It's the greatest of months. But when it feels like every other month to them, plus they're hungry, and if that's the only difference, everything's the same, but they're hungry, then how are they going to associate it with goodness? But these are activities. You choose with them before. You sit down and say, let's choose 10 dua, let's choose 10 ayat, 10 small surah, and then throughout Ramadan, these are the ones that we're going to memorize. You prefer it before Ramadan, and then they practice it inside of Ramadan. Yani, all of these little actions that you can do, and you can find many of them online, they build the love for the children inside of Ramadan. Also involving your children in what is required in Ramadan. Yani, you have to understand that your children will probably like the concept of Ramadan more if you let them participate in some of the things that you find stressful. Even though they're children, they'll probably make it even more stressful, but you try to look at the bigger picture. Allow them to help you set the table. Allow them to help you pack it up. Allow them to help you make something that's simple. Allow them to help you, whatever it is, call the relatives that you call inside of Ramadan. Allow them to help you, take even if it's as simple as taking the seed from outside of the date, pouring the water in the cups of the people. They feel like they've done something. They feel like they have a role. They feel like they're making an impact. This will then make them feel significant. And then especially if you can encourage them to participate in things that are going to benefit others. Like you say to them, come, let's sit together. We're going to bake a cake for the neighbors. Then all right, they're excited. They did something. You're keeping them busy. And then they did something nice, and they know the importance of being good. And the importance of giving in, whether it's giving in charity or the importance of treating your neighbors good, whatever it may be. Even if you need to decorate the house. The house decorations don't go to too of an extreme. Don't go to too of an extreme where it becomes like you're imitating the kuffar in what they do. Don't go and get a Ramadan tree. All right? Because unfortunately, this is something that has started to become popular, a Ramadan tree. Or don't go and subhanallah, it's the Ramadan, but Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, is on my, because that was the decoration that was on sale. But if you want to, for example, even though it doesn't have a connection with Ramadan or Islam, but let's say you want to put some lanterns up. Just because the kids associate it with Ramadan. Again, you teach them that this isn't something that the Prophet connected to Ramadan ﷺ, or the lanterns or even the star and the crescent aren't something that is found in the Sharia or used by the Sahaba or the Tabi'een or the pious predecessors, but this is something that we use to decorate, so they're happy, that's fine. A little bit here, a little bit there, as long as it's not to an extreme, but something to make them feel nice, something to make them up. When they walk into the house from school, then they feel a little bit excited. And especially if your intention to do it is to then be able to say to them when they're excited about the Christmas trees and the Christmas thing, that don't worry about those. We have our own celebrations that are far greater, and you make the effort to make it greater by doing everything that we've said so far, then inshallah it goes a long way. Use a lot of praise inside of Ramadan. This is something that's important. Your child fasts, you tell them I'm proud of you. Your child, you help your child, you tell them Allah is happy with what you've done. The good that they do, you associate it with positivity, you associate it with happiness, then they're going to be happy. Obviously allowing them to feel the Quran throughout Ramadan. You reciting the Quran out loud. Allowing the Quran to play out loud in the house more often than Ramadan. All of this is going to be very significant. Allowing them to participate in sadaqah. You give your child $2 each day and tell them this is for you to save. Or even go a step further so that they're more excited. Give them $5 a day. $5 a day and say $3 are for you, $2 you put away in charity. So now you're teaching them that there's a reward for their fast. You're getting rewarded because you're doing good, but then you're also teaching them the concept of charity. Then the end of the month, they have a certain amount in which they save for themselves. You can take them to the shop, spend some money on Eid, and then you take them and you show them, okay, we're going to give charity to the masjid, we're going to give charity to this person, to that person. They become very excited about it. Make suhoor and iftar a time of bonding. Again, don't make it a time of rushing. And I know that, especially with Tarawih, a lot of us need to eat and then rush. But even if it's a short period of time, make it a time of bonding. When they sit for suhoor, speak to them, talk to them. Don't make it shove it in your mouth and then khalas, Scott, I don't have time for you. Make it a time where are you eating? How's your day? What are you up to? How are you feeling about Ramadan so far? Tell them stories in that time. All of these things so that they again associate. The kids, they're going to feel the feeling more than they're going to feel the hunger. Some practical tips about how you can get your children starting with fasting. Obviously, start gradually with them and start as early as you feel like they want to start. Don't be scared. The human body can deal without food. This is something that our Arab parents made us scared of. Yani that if the person doesn't have a sandwich in their hand ready to snack every time their stomach goes a little bit, then the people are going to die. This is not the case. Yani you human beings can go days without food, yani weeks without food. We're fine. Especially a lot of us are holding the extra nourishment that we need. Yani people are going to be fine. For even your young kids, yeah, they need to eat a bit more, but they're not going to, la qadar Allah, nothing's going to happen to them if they fast for 2 hours. Yani even if they're excited at the age of 5, 6, and they say, I want to fast like you, and you just say, okay, this half an hour before iftar, this is your fasting time. Yani nothing's going to happen with them in half an hour, but they're going to feel like they did good, and you're going to train them. Yani you can start it with, we're not going to eat. I see a lot of people do, there's no eating until 10 a.m. So they miss like their early breakfast. They feel a little bit of hunger, and then khalas, the rest of the day they can eat. And then you can make it no eating until dhuhr. And then you make it half a day. And then you make it 3/4 of a day. And then you make it an entire day. You get them used to it, you get in gradual, and you base it on their mood. Don't, your child's 7 and they said, I want to fast half the day today. And then by 10 a.m. they said, I'm not feeling well, saying, nah, you're going to fast. No, they're still young. You work with, and if they feel the pressure of it, they're not going to want to go back to it. But when you show them, khalas, you're young, we're working on it slowly and gradually, especially when you start nice and early, especially when you start outside of Ramadan and encourage them to do it even outside of Ramadan, then they're going to associate it with ease, and they're going to be able to do it more and more easily when they get older. Some practical tips for suhoor. Be a bit aware of what you feed your kids, especially if they're going to try to do half a day or a full day. Let's say they start to reach that 10, 11 years old and they're saying, I want to start to do a full day. Good. Encourage them too. But don't, do a little bit of research as to what's going to help them with their fasting throughout the day for them to take for suhoor. Don't just because it's easy, give them Cocoa Pops. All Cocoa Pops it's sugar. It's sugar, and this is type of sugar in which is going to give them a high and then a crash. But it's going to be 10 a.m. and they're going to crash and they're going to feel lethargic and they're going to feel hungry. But you look up things that are like slow burning carbs, things like oats and others, and you can speak to some of the doctors and look up online. It's very easy. You look at slow burning carbs, different types of yogurts that are good, that are beneficial, proteins, things like eggs that are going to keep a person nourished and energized throughout the day. All of these things are going to keep the person energized. Making sure that for suhoor and after iftar they're being hydrated, drinking a lot of water. Again, don't just give them, I remember we used to eat just the sweets from the night before. That's what we ate for suhoor growing up. So you have like nafa and you have like thing and you're drinking the tamr and like all this stuff, and then you wonder why you're like dead halfway through the day, because all you did was get hyped up on sugar. And if it wasn't that, it was like the leftover fried food from the night before. So you do some research into it and feed them things that are good. Whilst they're fasting, try to keep them busy. Simple things. Take them before Ramadan to buy Ramadan activities, coloring books, puzzles, books to read, toys specifically to play with. All of this stuff assists them to be able to go through the month and not struggle too much. Ultimately, and we'll stop here, inshallah. Ultimately, make sure that the biggest point that we're trying to emphasize on is make sure Ramadan is something that's exciting for them. Make Ramadan exciting. Again, allow them to associate it with positivity. They'll feel that through the way that you speak, and they'll feel that through the way that you act. I know it's hard, wallahi, but when we choose to have children, then khalas, we've accepted this task. This is an amana before Allah Azza wa Jal, in which we're going to be asked about. What do you can't say, Allah, I was tired from fasting, that's why I decked him when I got home. You can't. There's going to be like, well, how are they going to love Ramadan if they associate it with you bashing them because you're tired? It doesn't work. It's not going to happen. But when they associate it with dad comes home and he's happy, especially when they've done good, then this is going to be something that is good. And praise them and reward them. Wallahi, again, and we say this a lot, we chose to come to this country. Us or our parents. And we choose to stay in this country. So you need to go to war. Let me finish what I'm saying, Asia. Go to war against the ideologies of the West that you don't want established in the mind of your children. And you can't just sit back and say, khalas, I don't want my children to be like them, but what am I going to do? Who cares? When I'm in this country, I'm able to work and dodge tax, and my wife's able to get Centrelink, so I'm not going to migrate. No, it doesn't work like that. You want to stay in this country? Stay in this country. You want to be here? Be here. But your children, khalas, you now have to be everything for them. To bring them to the masjid. But you have to be the majority to them. If they lived in maybe in Lebanon, in Pakistan, in Saudi Arabia, in all of these countries, it's very easy for them to have Ramadan. Why? Because they're going to see everyone's fasting. Everyone at school's fasting. The school's going to finish earlier. The school's going to take more breaks. Eid's going to give them breaks. Eid, they're not going to bring hard examinations during that time. The street's going to be decorated. Everyone's going to be happy. People in the streets, you drive through the roads and people are giving dates around iftar time. All of these good things are happy for. Maybe you do a little bit less effort, but they see the goodness around them. But what do they see here? Nothing. They don't see nothing. So if you're going to not be their everything, then they're going to take nothing and they're going to end up with nothing, and then Yawm al-Qiyamah, we're all going to be nothing. So we need to think about it before we get to that stage, and try to make these days and these rituals and these concepts in the hearts of our children something that's impactful and something that's important. هذا والله أعلم صلى الله على نبينا محمد وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.